Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. It's a little late tonight, but we're all on holiday hours, so I'm glad you guys are still here and hanging out with me and doing cool, fun car stuff. Uh, what did I want to say? Had a really nice junkyard experience. I know that sounds odd, right? But sometimes when you're working on these cars, the option for parts is the junkyard. And sometimes, it's a pick and pull that's like super nicely laid out and all of this. And then sometimes it's a little tiny place. They have very specialty cars, either like European or Japanese or just domestic stuff. So sometimes you need parts for these cars, but you can't go, you can't get it. Like the seat, for example, I need those two little axles. If I want those from Nissan or yeah, I guess from Nissan, I have to buy the entire bottom of the seat for 600 and plus dollars. I don't really need that. I have the rest of the seat. It all works fine. I just need those two little axles, but you can't get those. So you go to the junkyard to score those parts from another car. That the junkyard I was at today, extremely disorganized. Everything is packed like bumper to bumper, and you can, as you're walking around this labyrinth of despair, you can get trapped, and then you have to backtrack all the way back around. It wasn't laid out very well, but they had a nice big variety of different cars. They had a bunch of Euro, a bunch of Japanese, a bunch of domestic, and then all these cars have, I'm sure, just absolutely insane stories of how they ended up there. So it's always cool to go look at that and try and figure out, what happened to this car. Well, this van was obviously in a front end accident, and the airbags are gone. Hopefully the people survived. And then, this is obviously a rollover, and, all of them have these crazy stories. You try and figure it out. At least I do. That's fun for me. So packed up a tool bag, and I know that sounds like a derogatory term, but for me, it's actually not a derogatory term. And went in search of, I had a nice list of stuff that I needed for the car. And the problem is the coupes are not very popular. They didn't make a ton of coupes. So finding the specific coupe parts is more difficult than the regular four-door Altimas, or eventually I'm searching through Maximas, and also, Infinities and, other Nissan products, trying to find the parts that I'm looking for. So I wanted to go through and show you guys what I scored today. And the total cost on everything was $70. So if you guys, you can tell me, oh, you got a great deal, or you got ripped off. So I'll absolutely lay base and let you guys know. $70 for everything that I got today. And give me a second, I will show you the parts. So just to go back to the list, what we needed were the sun visors, and what else? The hood prop, clip and grommet. It's actually clips, I found out. It's not just one clip, it's two. Brake stuff will be here tomorrow. The CEL stuff will do tomorrow as well. What else did I get? I got a whole bunch of clips for the front end. Those are the little lock clips. Push them in, and then you push them down and they lock. And I got a bunch of those, because if you order them, you buy, you get a pack of 100 and you're never going to use them. So it's easier just to pull them off of an old car and get 5 or 10. I also got a bolt for the valve cover gasket, or for the valve cover, because I didn't have a bolt. This is missing one, and we're leaking a little bit of oil at that corner. So I'll show you the big stuff first. So, and I don't know if this fits, but I got it anyway. We have our new center vent with the switches already included. And this one's actually in really good shape. Considering the car that it was in, it's in incredible shape. So all the trim rings are together, everything's together. So we'll put this in the car. Put that up there. And this is the grill that I got. Now you can tell this differs a little from the front grill that's on there. And I don't know if he fits or not, but here's one of the hood prop clips. So there's one here, and then there's one over on this side where the hood prop rests. So when I saw that, I was like, hey, this might actually fit my car. And I think it's going to be pretty darn close. So this has the elongated hexagonal openings, and it has the blistered chrome up front. So we might swap it out with this one. It still has the same Nissan logo, but this one has the faded black. This one is just straight black plastic. So he's broken right there. Or no. Is he flexed? No, he's broken. But also, these guys clip in the back, so it's actually not a big deal. We can glue that back down, and they'll stay in place. The nice part is this can all get repainted too, because this logo pops out. And also this silver piece pops out. So if we really wanted to, we could repaint this a totally different color. Maybe that'll happen. But this was a nice, good score. And I thought it was pretty close to mine, but it looks like it's going to match up perfect. So that was a good score. The other one, and I'll just grab this stuff here because we're going to be putting it all away. So this is the tool bag, the portable junkyard tool bag that I throw everything in. And you just kind of take the minimum. This is our seat cover for the driver's side. Now the difference is there's no hole here for, yeah, that's okay. So you can see the difference. There's no hole in this one, but I have a drill. So if I can have a hole piece, I don't know if he fits. Oh yeah, he's going to be a different size and everything, because the coupe has a different size for this release to slide it forward. So I don't think this guy's going to work, but I did get the switches for free. So, or the switch singular. So that's kind of cool. Unfortunately, this guy isn't going to work, but he wasn't that expensive, so not a huge deal. And we can save the switches. I'd still like to find another one of these, though. Might check eBay, see if I can find something. Now, the rest of the stuff, I've got a ton of tools here. So I'm going to take the tools out so we can get to the part stuff. I did find a battery terminal cover, but I'm not sure if this one is actually going to fit. This was off another Altima. I don't know if he's going to fit. These cars are pretty torn apart. Here is a huge score. 4 brand new coil packs. Almost brand new. They have a little dust on them. But these guys, let's see who's here. Hey, Liz. These guys, I mean, these guys are probably, I don't know, you guys can price them out for me, let me know. They're probably anywhere between 50 and 100 bucks each. So to score 4 of these, the only question is, I got to make sure that they fit. They're 3-pin, but I believe they're the exact same coil packs. And obviously I'll look up the part numbers just to make sure. But they were also on a 2.5, and I don't know. That was a major, major score. They're all from the same engine too. The rest of the stuff is tools and a random leaf and a razor blade. Where is my big score? Here is my big score. I know you guys are like, what the hell? This is my big score. And these are the 2 axles. They're a little hard to see. They're square drive, and that what goes here. Cha-ching! That's what goes right in there. And I'm just going to set them in there for now. If those were 35 bucks each, there's still a score. Hey, Tress. I did. Okay, that was a good one. That's a really good question. And I'm going to ask you a question in return. I did not get a stock intake because I don't know if I need one yet, but I know where one is, which is a good thing, I think. So if they say you have to go back and get a stock intake, I know where to go get one. So that's a good part. Now, the question for you, did you look up Boyd Aviation and find out any history on Boyd Aviation? There you go. The rest of this is tools, and you guys don't want to watch me put tools back, but I'm gonna. I know you guys are like, no, not the tools. Yep, putting tools back. Drew scribers, sockets, all that shit. Wrenches. We're gonna save this guy because we're gonna do the coil packs. What I am gonna leave in there is a razor blade, because you should always kind of take a razor blade with you, I think. Some socket wrenches here, and pry bars, screwdrivers, extensions. Also screwdrivers. Here's my other one, my other Phillips. Ow! What I didn't take today, which I thought about, but then decided, no, you won't need that. I didn't take a set of needle nose pliers, which I probably could have used. Trim stick, plug puller, pry bars, and I think that's it for that. And then we've got some sockets over here. And a Phillips bit. And that is the end of that. This guy gets stored because he is empty. 13, 10, 13, 12. Another 12, I have the 10 over there, because we're going to use the 10. Now, the other stuff that I scored, and here is, I'll get you guys the highlights. So these are the clips that I'm talking about. Oh, okay. Okay, with the Boyd Aviation. If you want, shoot me a message. I'll send you a clip. I'll send you a clip that references Boyd Aviation. You can take a look at them. So these are the little push clips. You push them into the body panel, and then when you want to lock them in place, you push down and it spreads out those prongs underneath. And then to get them out, you just lift up on the little tabs, and then you can pull these things out. And they're, like I said, if you get these on Amazon, you're going to get a pack of 100, and then you're just going to have 90 of them laying around. They do break. They're not the sturdiest piece, but they're great for holding panels in place. So got a bunch of those. Here's the bolt that I needed. I didn't know he was a shoulder bolt. This is called a shoulder bolt when he has that straight section right there with no thread. This goes on the corner of the valve cover, and that's currently where it's leaking from. So when someone did the valve cover, they didn't put this guy back in. So we're going to put him back in. As I talked about with the clip for the hood prop, here's the second one. And this one's brand new. The one that's on there right now is spread out just from heat and use. So we have a new one. Yeah, and trust, it's great to have those extras because then your friend calls and like, hey man, my fender liner, I broke a couple of the clips. Oh yeah, here you go. Merry Christmas. And you have, give them a couple of clips. It's going to take you 10 years to do that. Here's the other score. And I didn't know this was rubber. I thought for sure this was plastic, but this guy I have finger strength, I promise. He's actually rubber. The hood prop rod goes in here, and this is what the hood prop rod rides on. So we can now properly mount our hood prop rod. What was really funny was the prop rod from this car was gone. So I just had the grommet left, which was cool. So as I step on the hood prop rod, he goes right here. Of course, it's going to be a two-handed operation, right? So he goes right there. And then we have our prop rod that goes inside that rubber. And he goes right there. That's how that works. Now, when he lays down, he lays across this. And this is obviously not mounted in. My knee is still sore from that shot last night. So here's one of the clips. And then over here is where that second clip goes. So I straightened this up a little last night when I took it apart. But this is how the prop rod lays. It lays across here. And I found out something behind the front fascia, why this wasn't seating correctly, why this wasn't seating correctly. I found a bunch of stuff. Not a bunch of stuff, but one big piece. Whenever they pulled this apart, I'm guessing to replace headlights or whatever, there's a plate right here, right underneath this fascia, that they did not put back in place. It was just resting here. And they tried to fit the fascia back on, but they were malforming it and getting it into these, trying to stuff it in there. They didn't get this guy back in place properly. So nothing would fit correctly. So when I put that in the right place and figured out where it went, stuff kind of just lined up. A little bit of flexing and it'll keep it nice and tight. I am pretty sure these are, why do they do this? Why do they do sharp edges on everything? And I'm glad I grabbed the screws for the coil packs. So here's one of our other coil packs. He has a 3-pin. They are a slightly different shape. It's a little dusty, but I believe these are the same coil packs. They go to the same plugs, all of that. So this is the one, this is the aftermarket one, and this is the OEM one. So I think we're pretty damn close on coil packs. I think they're going to work great. So we will swap those out, and I'm going to swap them out without triple checking or anything. Are you replacing the valve cover gasket before? No, I am not. The previous owner, the previous owner replaced the valve cover gasket at, I don't know, 100, whatever mileage was on this thing. He replaced it when he put the engine in the car. So 20,000 miles ago, 30,000 miles ago. So gasket's going to be fine. But I am going to, I'll wheel you guys over and I'll show you this stuff. So we'll do the engine stuff really quick, just because it's going to be pretty quick and easy and painless. What did you catch on? This stand has little tiny wheels and it catches on everything. So I'll bring you guys down here. So these are our coil packs right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, right on top, and our spark plugs are down there, correct? So we're going to replace these 4. Actually, I'm pretty sure all of these are aftermarket. They look like the OEM bolts, but I'll show you the tops on these. Jesus Christ, why can't manufacturers trim zip ties correctly? What is the problem with that? Now, also, I've talked about it before with these. If you're having problems with these plugs and removing them, especially after 100,000 miles or whatever, try pushing it tight and then undoing the safety catch and then pulling back. Usually that breaks up some of the dirt and grime and stuff in there and makes it a little easier to pull it backwards and take it off. This one, fortunately. All right, well, he's undone. These plugs have been off before. So there we go. So we'll grab our zoomer and pull our plugs out. I just had my zoomer. What the hell did I do with it? Oh, and just for the record, we are back on Rockstar tonight. That is pretty painless. Now, here's the other fun part. These guys can come apart when you're pulling them out, like this rubber boot, and then the shaft, and then there's a little spring inside. All of this stuff can come apart. So when you're trying to pull these out, you want to kind of wiggle them and loosen them up. You don't want to just straight rip them out. There's nothing worse than thinking you're just going to replace a coil pack really quick, and then all of a sudden you're digging out 5 different parts from down inside the plug socket hole. That sucks. Ask me how I know. So a little bit of wiggle goes a long way. Let's take a look here. We do have some coil pack bolts, so we'll use the best looking bolts. I don't know if there is such a thing. So we've got, do we have another good looking one here? Okay. Trying to find the ones, you know, the least oxidation, stuff like that. These ones actually feel sturdier too. They feel more substantial. I'm going to give them a wipe down quick. Just because they were in a dusty junkyard. And we want the car to look a little bit nice, right? So if you guys want to, you can look up that part number. And coil packs in general are not number specific. I would say 98% of the time, they are not number specific. So you can put a 1 and a 3, and they're also handy for testing. If you know you have a good coil pack, you can move it around to different cylinders to find problems. So I don't know. If you guys want to, you can look up how much coil packs are. Who else we got here? Oh, Liz, you killed it. Oh, all right. Well, so much for that. That's okay. I was going to keep Trust going for a little while. And also, folks, please start screws by hand. Please, if I ask nicely, will you do that? You will save yourself hours with the tap if you just start screws by hand. I know we're all in a hurry and we all want our LSs to run tonight, but please, 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 just start them by hand. Even if you do 2 threads, 2 full turns, you're going to save yourself a ton of pain and aggravation. I know you just want to zoom it in and go out there and be the fastest Camaro ever, but please. Okay. This one. Oh, shit. This coil pack can't get installed because the insert has been pulled out. Fantastic. That's awesome. The insert is actually press fit in there. So the insert is in the valve cover. It's a brass insert. And that's why there's no bolt in there. Shit. Of course. Of course. It's odd that these are at different angles, but I guess they kind of have to with the oil filter and stuff. Anyway. Again, you do not have to superhuman torque these down. There is a torque spec for them, but it's mainly to keep them in place from not popping up. Crap. I can't believe I didn't notice that insert was missing. Anyway, we have a spare and we'll figure out an insert. Might just do a helicoil and just pop it in there. Go get a helicoil kit. It'll have a couple of screws or a couple of helicoils, and then we can thread back into that. So the bolt that's missing on the valve cover is this guy, this shoulder bolt. And what did I do with him? Left him over here. And he does have a torque spec, and I'm going to have to go look him up later. But he goes right there. He's supposed to go right there. Oh my God. He is supposed to go right there, but he can't because the original bolt broke off inside there. This is why you don't ugga-dugga this shit. Oh, crap. All right, just by chance, just sheer chance. Maybe, this is such a dumb idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. This is probably not going to work. That guy doesn't fit. I'm just going to try a screwdriver in there, just a flathead, to see if maybe. Okay. Well, this is not drilled. It is drilled through to the bottom. So I just noticed that. So we're going to have to drill and do an easy out and get that piece out, and then we can put this in. I didn't notice the bolt was, I just saw the bolt missing. I didn't look down in there. Now we know, right? Now we know. So Damn it. Ugh. Okay. We have the 4 new coil packs in. We have to drill and pull this out anyway. We're going to have to do a helicoil insert up here or get a whole new, even if I get a whole new valve cover, that doesn't change what's broken it's actually broken in the part in the head. So doesn't really change anything, but we do have new coil packs. And we also have, like I said, you can see the mount here for where the clip goes for the truss rod. We have the hood prop. The hood prop, all of this stuff is lined up, and I have all the clips for this, but I'm going to swap out the grill, and I'm probably going to swap it out after I paint it. So this will come off. But as you can tell, the headlight is back sort of in its normal place because this panel that goes the whole width was actually down lower and to the side over to that side. And that's why things were not lining up. They never put this panel back in place when they did whatever they did at the front end, or whenever it was in an accident. It was obviously punctured here, so it was in an accident. So that's okay. We'll get this taken care of. And then you have stuff like this. When you do engine swaps, sometimes, like this is the old clip, and here's the clip from, that was the clip that was on the spare engine. Now we have this thing mounted up out of the way. This is the clip for the O2 sensor, and he should go, I think, like so. He wasn't attached. Now he is. He's up out of the way. Oh, I forgot to get the upper rad hose mount. I'll probably go back to those guys anyway. Looks like this is not a replacement. I don't know. The sleeving was for something. So that's kind of it for now. Damn it. That's a real bummer because that's a big pain in the ass to get out of there. Okay. Okay. The bigger bolts are easier to get out than the smaller bolts. That's my experience with it anyway. So, all right, let's do the fun one. And to me, the biggest one of all is, let's do the seat. I'm going to bring you guys over here just because I hate moving the seat around. Hopefully, well, we'll get some light. Where can I? Does that light work okay for you guys? So, yeah, hopefully you guys can see this. Hopefully, let's see. Oh, Liz deleted the message. Okay. No worries. If he looks it up, he looks it up. That's cool. If he doesn't, that's fine too. Not a big deal. You know what? Let me try this. I'm gonna grab the camera and see if I can show you guys a little closer up. So these are the shafts that I needed. And all it is there's no way for me to. All right, hang on a second. Hang on. I know you're staring at the seat. Give me a second here. We can still go kind of portable. All right, because then I can use two hands and I don't have to hold you guys. Maybe. If that crappy tripod stays there. Oh my God. Why is it off angle so badly? Okay, let's try that. Okay, so now you guys can see This is what we're looking for. And it's very simple. It is basically a spring, a very tightly wound spring. That's why he's flexible, but it's spring steel. And then he has the quarter drive end on him. And this is just a protective sleeve that keeps the lube and stuff in there. And it's to keep the lube inside and from it getting to the outside. These are the guys that go between the seat track and the motor. And there's one on each side. So you slide in there and you can feel him kind of seat in the motor and then flex. And hopefully he seats in there. He's got enough pressure on him that when he gets mounted and installed, the first turn is going to go click, click, and he'll pop in. But we want to make sure the motor is mounted first. So you can feel it pop in, and then you can check it on this side, and it's not turning right now, which means he's in the motor itself. And then you can come over, put him on this side. We are done. So for what is probably, I don't know what the guy charged me for this, maybe $3, $5, saved me over almost $700. That is why junkyards are cool, because you can't get these. You have to buy this entire assembly, this whole bottom of the seat, in order to get these two guys. They don't sell them separately. So saved a ton of money. These came out of a Nissan Maxima, not out of an Altima. I looked at all the Altimas. Most of them were manual seats. The few that I found have, and even on the Infinities, they have the motor over here, and then they have a single solid shaft that runs over here. So this end of the motor actually drives here, and then they have a long shaft that goes all the way across. Now here's the fun part too. These are very difficult to get to when they're inside the car, especially when the seat is lowered. This section actually covers up most of this. So these are really hard to get to if the seat is lowered. Fortunately, the Maxima I was in, a shorter person was driving it, and the seat was almost raised almost all the way up. I literally I pulled them out with 2 fingers. So that's it. Now we have power seat back to 100%. We'll get this cleaned up. We'll get some rust preventer on here. It turns it to, it's actually a chemical reaction. It turns it to what's called magnetite. And so we'll get that cleaned up, and that way it won't corrode and rust anymore. We'll spray the rest of this stuff down too, and then get the seat back in the car. So pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that score. That's the biggest score out of all this other stuff. Valve cover gaskets and bolts and pins and stuff, those are nice. But the one thing I did not find, sun visor. I could not find matching sun visors, and the coupes have a very specific sun visor. So that unfortunately might be eBay, and I'm sure they're probably $150 a set. But I couldn't find sun visors. Kind of important in Florida, kind of. And then what else didn't I find today? I'd have to go. I got to go look at my list. Give me a second. Take a look at my list here. Sun visors, the tilt handle for over here on the seat, and the window switches I did not, but I'm going to try and clean those window switches that are in there. I did get the screws for the AC. I got the prop rod grommet, got the prop rod clip, got the front fascia mounting clips. I did not get a shift knob because I didn't find a manual. I didn't find a manual Altimas. So that was kind of a bummer. But also, I'm sure I can go on eBay and find a $12 super badass shift knob for the Altima. So our seats, aside from corrosion protection, our seats pretty much ready to go. Back in the car. That is a big score. I'm super happy with that score. Let me raise you guys up. staring at my knees. All right. So Altima is actually in really good shape. Done with this for now. Yeah, you know what else I might do is, because this is thermoplastic and not metal, I might actually just get, and again, these aren't super torqued down. They're just to prevent it from popping up. I might just go to the hardware store and see if this guy was in his clip right there, then the prop rod would actually sit right. This guy, it's just a tight fit, and he has to come in a little bit. That's how he's going to go. So we have a clip here, we have a broken clip here, we have a clip here, clip here, clip here, clip here, clip here, prop rod clip, and then another clip over here. So when all of those guys are pushed in place, it holds this metal piece and holds the rest of the fascia in place. Then the headlight can get tightened down and adjusted and stuff. So if they had just put this back in place, everything would have went back exactly the way it should have. But for some reason, they missed that metal piece. So we've got hood prop repair, clip and grommet. Those are done. Sun visor we still don't have. And brakes are coming. So we're getting a lot closer on this. Getting a lot closer, which is nice. Very nice. I'm going to save this coil pack with the other coil packs. They work. So yeah, and I don't think, and I can check this battery cover, but, or the terminal cover, I don't think he's gonna, he does not work. He does, he goes right there. So he's half of the terminal cover. Awesome. That's fine, I don't care. It gives me something. I think the other part is a fold up, and I think he's gone. We'll look again. We'll see if we can find another one. It's just, that's a safety thing. I like having the terminals covered. So I'm going to wash my hands quick. So that is all of the Junkyard scores today. And even if I didn't get anything else, even if I just got those two shafts for the seat motor, that's $70 well spent, because I cannot get those. So, you know, 4 coil packs, the vent, the front grille, the extra nuts and bolts, all the clips, that's just bonus to me. The biggest thing was being able to move that seat forward and backward. And I'm going to send a video to the previous owner because he was so frustrated. He was not as tall as I was. So he had a difficult time driving the car because the seat was all the way back. So I'll send him a video saying, hey man, fixed it. Not to rub it in or anything like that, just to let him know that, you know, I figured out what the problem was, got the parts, got it repaired. So that's about it for tonight. It was, let's see, how long was I at the junkyard? 2 hours, 2.5 hours? A little bit longer than that, maybe 3 hours. Just because it was so disorganized. And, you know, you had F-250s next to old Mercedes-Benz, you know, like a W108, 104. And then you had a Maxima, and then you had, I mean, it was just, there was no rhyme or reason to where the cars were put. And then they were literally bumper to bumper and almost door to door. So if you did, you know, like I'm looking at seat controls and I'm looking for side panels, I could barely open the door because it bonks into the other door. So they had these cars packed in there really, really, really tight. And then the other problem is you're going through this maze and then all of a sudden you're stuck because they have, the truck and the van are parked in this corner and you can't get past there. You're like, oh shit, unless you climb over. So now you got to backtrack and go back around. There's no aisles or anything like that. They're trying to get a lot of cars in a very small space, and I get that, but it makes it very difficult to go around. The other thing, there were only 2 other guys there, and they were looking for something totally different. I don't know what they were looking for. That was it today. There wasn't anyone else there. The guy who runs the place and the guy who runs the front loader and a tow truck driver. That was it. So it was very quiet. I want to say it was clean, but junkyards are not like that. You cannot wear flip-flops there. You have to wear, I just wore regular sneakers, but you should wear boots because the stuff that people leave on the ground, generally sharp, generally gross. So yeah. And in Florida, you got to look out for snakes and alligators and big ass spiders and all that other stuff too. So don't go in shorts, do long pants, boots if you can, just because there's so much stuff on the ground that people, they rip stuff out to get to one piece and they just leave it on the ground. So you're stepping on stuff and there's fluids and just a random open battery, it's better to be a little prepared. But again, the guy at the front counter was super helpful, really nice, cut me a great deal, and making this car considerably better with very, very little money. So I can't really start the car right now because all the airbag stuff is unplugged, but I know that those coil packs are going to work. I'm going to look up the number just to triple check and make sure they're correct for this car. They came out of a 2.5, and I believe it was a 09 or a 2010. So it should work. I don't know what year that grill was from. That was from a different car. That was from a gray car, and I think the coil packs were from a red car. I think the gray car, I want to say it was a 12 or maybe an 11, but I'd have to check the grills to see when they changed the grill style. But yeah, that's it. And now also I know a place less than an hour away that has a couple of different cars that I can score parts from. Not coupes, they're both 4-doors, but I know where they are, and I know they've got a ton of parts left on them too. So I got all the major stuff that I needed, but if I do need other stuff, I can go back there. Maybe like door handles, although I'm probably I'll just epoxy that one back in place. So yeah, tomorrow we will do, what will we do? We get the seat back in the car. We can actually put both seats back in the car. Except we're not. We're just going to put the one driver's seat back in the car. And what else? I'm hoping that the airbag light is not on because of the passenger seat being unplugged, but it might be. We'll check that out. So driver's seat goes back in, and we'll also do the dash stuff and put the dash back together with the new vent we have, with the screws that I got for mounting the AC controls and that stuff. And if I can, we'll do the, I'll get some just gloss black spray paint and paint that when I'm going to Naples tomorrow. So I'll go to Naples. Well, I'll paint that, and then I'll go to Naples. I'll come back. I'll do a few more coats. And then tomorrow night, hopefully we can, that sits out in the sun and we can put that on the car. Yeah. So we'll do some front fascia and get this stuff, you can see it right now. It's lined up considerably better. And this actually would pop right back into place. I don't want to pop it right now. Plus I have to do the fender well, but we'll get everything mounted up, and I'll show you that bar that goes across there too. So we'll do some front fascia stuff, and if we can, I'll get that screw, that broken screw drilled out, and we can replace that. And then I'll probably hit the hardware store on the way back from Naples because I won't have the trailer, and get an insert for one of these. I can bring this back over here because otherwise I'm going to trip on it. Get an insert for one of that shoulder screw. Yeah, I should probably show you the actual bolt instead of the pretend bolt. So one of those. We'll get an insert that this can thread into that's slightly bigger. Sometimes like Ace Hardware and smaller stores like that have brass inserts. You can epoxy them in there, set them in place, and they'll be fine. I don't know why that one is ripped out. I'm guessing someone grabbed their Milwaukee, gave it 15 Ugga Duggas, and ripped the insert out. So that's how that works. If you're a little bit careful with stuff, you can, it'll last a lot longer. Torquing spark plugs without losing the spark plug socket off the ratchet since it sits in the rubber grommet. Yeah. So there's a couple of different ways to do this. I do not have a set here. Of course, I have 2 sets up in Columbus, but I'll show you a quick one. And we can actually use a real spark plug socket. So we have a real spark plug socket with the rubber grommet in there. You can kind of see it. This is a locking extension. So I can't pull this apart unless I pull this collar back and it comes out. So you get these locking extensions. They're not very expensive. Zinc comes right out. There's no way to, the spark plug's not going to stay in there. There's also spark plug kits that have a wobble end that are connected. They also have a magnetic tip and not a rubber. So and they come in different lengths. So if you have, a huge deep well to go into, they're really great. And they come in a couple of different sizes. Those are obviously more expensive than just a 3/8 or quarter drive locking set. These locking sets are not expensive. You can get them at local auto parts stores. You can get them on Amazon. Just look for locking extension set. And that way, this guy doesn't end up at the bottom of the barrel and then you keep trying to like fish him out of there. Like, I got him in there this time. Oh, I was so close. These guys will come out every time. So locking extensions is the way to go. That's how you do that. That's cheap, simple, easy. Shit. Yeah, in Columbus, I've got I've got probably 3 or 4 sets of the locking extensions. And then I have a set with the wobble end magnetic tip that have, I don't know, I think they're 3 or 4 different lengths and they're 2 different sizes. You don't change the socket or anything. You just pick the length you want. And they're all 3/8 drive. So as far as spark plug torque, I think that's one of the, I don't even know how the hell I did that. I think spark plug torque is one of those cool feel things that you get when you work on vehicles. And it's something, the more you do, the better you get at it. There are torque specs for all spark plugs, I promise. But most of the time, anyone who has substantial experience working on cars, you can feel it is a feel issue when the spark plug is tight. And I will bet you get seasoned guys like hardcore engine builders, guys like anyone at Nelson, anyone at Blueprint, Gail Banks, guys like that. I will bet you could give Gail Banks just a simple spark plug socket, and a wrench, and tell him it's 18 foot-pounds. And I will bet you Gail Banks comes within 2 foot-pounds of correct. He has done it so many times. Now, lately he's doing, glow plugs instead of spark plugs, but I will bet you someone who's seasoned like that, they know that exact torque and they can feel it. And it is one of those practice things. So when you first start changing out spark plugs, definitely use a torque wrench and then get a feel for what that is, whatever that number is. The more you work on the same vehicle, hint, hint, the more familiar you're going to be every time you put plugs in it. It's going to feel, I know, it's 17 foot-pounds right there. And then you can go back and check yourself. You're like, ooh, that was a little tight, or, oh, that's not tight enough. Use a torque wrench, and then eventually you'll just have it in muscle memory, and it'll be like, yep, that's 17, or that's 34, whatever it is, you'll have it in muscle memory. Spark plugs is a big one because you change those out a lot. Another guy who's going to know spark plug torque is Dick Winkles. He'll know it too. That guy's gone through so many spark plugs. I can't even imagine. Dick Winkles is the guy who designed the Viper engine and dyno tested and endurance tested and all of that shit with the Viper engine. And very, very nice guy. Knows an incredible amount about engines in general and more specifically the Viper stuff, and super smart. I will bet you he comes within 2 foot-pounds of the correct torque on a spark plug every time. And you can do it on my car, you could do it on any Viper out there. I bet you comes within 2 foot-pounds. Easy. So I think spark plugs is one that you should get to if you're going to be a car person, a car guy, a car girl. You should get to the point where you know what it feels like, and then you won't ever have to do it again. And most spark plugs are within a similar range of torque. It rarely does it get weird when you start getting into like Top Fuel and shit like that, where they're on the verge of solid fuel. It barely has enough air in there to keep it from going to solid. It has like 4 molecules of air just so it doesn't become solid fuel. When you're doing stuff like that, that's when you're dealing with a considerably larger amount of torque and much tighter tolerances and stuff like that. So yeah, that doesn't really count. I'm talking about, regular cars that we're taking on the road, we're going to the track, we're, looking for an 8-second car. If you start going under that, you're getting into different territory. But for the most part, for our dailies, for our fun cars, our street cars, practice, and you can practice it over and over again. You don't hurt anything. You don't wear anything out. Just practice putting spark plugs in. In this car, it's super easy. It's right on top. Bzz, got it. And then check it with a torque wrench, and you're like, oh, damn, I was so close. Just do that, I don't know, 5 or 10 times, and then you get better at it. It's like anything. It's like playing guitar, play an A minor scale. Do it enough times, you pretty much know what it is. Same thing with doing spark plugs. So that's about it. That's it for tonight. Thank you guys very much for hanging out tonight. I appreciate it. I know the holidays, everyone's got Christmas parties and company parties and crazy uncle shit and all this other stuff. So I'm glad you guys hang out with me in the shop. I really appreciate it. Hopefully the stuff that I talk about helps you out in your projects and the stuff you're doing, whether it's monster trucks or burnout cars or drag cars or go-karts or whatever. Hopefully some of this stuff helps out. Or if you're racing in the Altima 600 next month, maybe some of this helps you out. Or if you just plain have an Altima and you're like, why the hell doesn't my seat go forward and backward? Now you know where to get those parts, how stupid cheap they are, and how easy they are to come out. If the seat is up, you literally don't need any tools. You can just pull it out with your hand. So for something like that, if you're missing those, or if somehow they got broken, I don't know how they would break, but if they got broken, you can just go to the junkyard, and for probably less than $5, you repaired your seat. So hopefully that helps someone out in the future. That's why I do all this stuff. I like teaching you guys this stuff, and personally, I like figuring it out myself. I didn't know that, I thought for sure that the other motor was hooked up. Everything works. I heard everything going. And then all of a sudden I realized there's no shaft in there. So no shafts, plural, in there. So I love learning just like you guys do. And that's why we're all here. So yeah, and thank you to all the new subscribers, everyone who has been subscribing. Like I said, I get the notifications, I see the names, and for a lot of you guys are private, and that's fine. I respect that. That's whatever you want to do. But it's cool that you guys are on board and enjoying what I'm doing. Any questions, comments, whatever, please put it down there. Shoot me a message, shoot me a text. Happy to answer it if I can. If not, I'll learn how to answer it. And the other one is, the other thing I had for you guys was, I have not heard back from Freedom Factory yet, but I hope to tomorrow. So I'll have answers to all of your questions, and I'll get you answers to all the questions that I asked them, just so if other folks are doing the Altima 600 race, you guys won't have to bother Freedom Factory. Hopefully I can answer some of the stuff that they don't have in their tech sheet or in their rule sheet. So I'm going a little bit in the margin there, and they're very nice folks. So hopefully they come back with something that's like, oh yeah, you're fine, or don't do this or whatever. But I'll get you guys the list of questions I asked them and all the answers to it. So hopefully that helps you get your race car ready. If not for this Altima 600, I know Freedom Factory's doing other ones in the future. So hopefully it helps out, folks who are building one for the next race or the ones later on next year in 2026. So again, thanks everyone for hanging out tonight. Thanks to all the new subscribers. You guys are great. Like I said, I don't get paid for any of this. I love teaching you guys, and I love learning from you guys too. That's it for tonight. So everyone, please have a great night. Please have a safe weekend. And we'll be back tomorrow night. We'll do some other small stuff too. Just getting this car ready, trying to get it, trying to get it race ready. And I'm glad you guys are along for the ride. So don't forget to show someone that you love them today. Give them a kiss on the cheek. Give them a kiss on the tip of their nose. Hold their hand. Give it a squeeze. It's really important for them, but it is far more important for you. All right. Thanks, everyone. I will catch you tomorrow evening. All right. And we'll go earlier tomorrow evening because it'll be a lot easier. Sunday, everyone's got school the next day. So, yeah, we'll go earlier. All right. I'll see you guys and girls and wombats.